Petrović Njegos je bio prvi i višestruki crnogorski kulturni ambasador koji je mogao da sažeto i ubjedljivo evropskim silama prikaže istorijsku sudbinu i bogatu duhovnost potresitih, slobodarstvom zadojenih i dobrodušnošću obdarenih gorštaka. Njegos je bio markantni i otmjeni predstavnik i impresivni veleposlanik prkosnog, brojčano malog i svakojakim oskudicama pritisnutog, ali ne i potisnutog ili pokorenog naroda. Pokrenutom inicijativom Njegoševe zadužbine iz Beograda za uvođenje Njegoševog dijela u svjetsku kulturnu baštinu, a kao primaran zadatak je bio prevođenje gorskog vijenca na japanski jezik, te angažovanjem uglednih zvaničnika sa Tokijskog univerziteta i vrstnih poznavaoca srpskog jezika, gospodina Kazuo Tanake i Hiroshi Yamasakija, akcija je u potpunosti uspjela prema ocjenama zvaničnih stručnjaka za prevode i za sad stala na broj 19 svetskih jezika. Poštovani posjetioci, dame i gospodo, na ovom večerašnjem činu ja vas pozdravljam u ime Crnogorskog kulturno-umjetničkog društva Njegos Sidnej i predstavljam vam posebne goste večerašnje skupštine, izvanrednog i opunomoćenog ambasadora Srbije i Crne Gore iz Kambere, Njegovu ekscelenciju Milivoja Glišića. Generalnog konzula Japana, Njegovu ekscelenciju gospodina Yasuki Nogao. Generalnog konzula, Njegovu ekscelenciju Srbije i Crne Gore Slobodana Bajića i vicekonzula Stavka. Ja pozivam Njegovu ekscelenciju ambasadora Srbije i Crne Gore, njegovu gospodina Milivoja Glišića, ekscelenciju generalnog konzula Japana gospodina Yasuki Nogao i ekscelenciju generalnog konzula Srbije i Crne Gore gospodina Slobodana Bajića, da dođu ovdje i da prime. Novembra 1. 2003. godine His Grace Prince Bishop of Montenegro, Petar II Petrović Njegos, author of this pair of poetry. We, the committee and members of the Montenegrin Cultural and Art Society Njegos, Sydney, Australia, take great pleasure in presenting this historic book in Japanese translation to the Consul General of Japan, Mr. Yasuaki Nogao, and his people.
I'm sorry that I cannot speak Serbian language, so allow me to make my speech in English. It is a great honor for me to attend the celebration commemorating the late Prince Bishop on his 190th birthday and have the opportunity to receive the Japanese copy of the Mountain Wreath.
Ekscelencija, ambasador Srbije i Crne Gore, gospodin Milivoje Glišić.
Dame i gospodo, dragi prijatelji, mimo svake protokolarne intonacije, meni je čast što sam večeras s vama, želim vam sve najbolje. Zahvaljujem se organizatorima, gospodinu Lazoviću, kulturno-umjetničkom društvu Njegos, što ste me pozvali da budem večeras ovde ovom srećnom prilikom i voleo bih da više ovakvih prilika i ovakvih duhovnih povoda da se pruže. Neću naravno da zloupotrebljavam vašu pažnju, Njegoši su više veliki da bih ja mali govorio o njemu nešto duže i detaljnije. Samo nekoliko napomena, nekoliko rečenica. reči gospodina Lazovića da je prevođenje Gorskog vijenca na japanski izuzetan kulturni podvig i kulturni događaj. Velike pesnike je, kao što znate, izuzetno teško prevoditi na druge jezike. Oni su najveći u svojim jezicima, ali oni pravi i oni najveći među njima prevazilaze granice sopstvenog jezika i njihova misao je univerzalna, tako da se ipak nekako može prevesti. Ja sam čuo od prijatelja iz Beograda da je događaj sezone na Beogradskom sajmu knjiga bio upravo prevod Gorskog vijenca na japanski jezik. Radujem se, dakle, još jednom da vas ne zadržavam, što sam s vama ovde. Uvek ćemo se truditi, i ja, i moji saradnici, i moj kolega iz generalnog konzulata, generalni konsul gospodin Slobodan Bajić, da nam pomognemo u ovakvim nastojanjima, da naše kulturne vrednosti, da našu kulturnu baštinu koju imamo, jer smo istorijski narodi, prezentujemo na pravi način, da pokažemo da imamo svoje duboke korene u istoriji. Hvala vam najlepše.
Novembra u parlamentu Novog Južnog Velsa Crnogorsko kulturno-umetničko društvo Njegos Sidnej izvršilo je prezentaciju Gorskog vijenca za biblioteku parlamenta.
The prime purpose of this evening is for the Montenegrin Cultural and Arts Society Njegos to present to the Parliamentary Library a copy of a book by Njegos called The Mountain Wreath. Njegos is, of course, Petar Petrović of Ledika, of Montenegro. It's probably an appalling Australian pronunciation, but you probably all know what I'm trying to say. My role tonight is essentially just to be the Master of Ceremonies. On that basis, can I just acknowledge some of the people that are here? The Speaker of the Parliament, John Aquilina, the Deputy Premier, Dr. Andrew Revshorgi, the State Parliamentary Librarian, Rob Bryan, and there are a number of consular officials that I should acknowledge. Ambassador Glisic, Consul General Bajic, Vice Consul Pekmanovic, and Deputy Consul General Hiroshi Manabe, who is just there. Certainly, in relation to the consular officials, can I particularly welcome you all here to this evening? Can I invite the Deputy Premier to address the gathering?
Thanks very much, Paul. First, can I acknowledge that we're on the traditional land of the Gadigal clan of the Eora Aboriginal Nation. And can I also acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues, the Speaker, John Aquilina, and of course our host and MC for the night, Paul Lynch. Ambassadors, Ambassador and Consul, and consular staff, it's a delight to have you with us today for a very important function as well. Montenegro is in your hearts, but I can tell you I have a little piece of Montenegro that I stole from your country. That's good. 30 years ago, as I was coming up from Kotor, looking at that beautiful old city that was a wonderful university almost of maritime navigation, learning maritime skills. And coming up the hills past that, I just couldn't stop myself from saying, I've been to Montenegro, I can't leave without taking a piece of it. And so I have. It is at home, I won't take it out of the home, I'll leave it there so it doesn't get lost. If you are desperate for a bit more of your country back, I will be delighted to come and present you back. but it is a beautiful, beautiful country, absolutely beautiful country. It has fantastic landscapes, as you know, but it also has a fascinating history of struggle and a history of triumph. It's emerged during the 9th century as a vassal state of the Byzantine Empire. 1042, then called Dukla. It became independent. In the 15th century, it was called Zeta, or as Montenegro has become since then. In 1492, the first Cyrillic printing house in Europe was established in Montenegro, 32 years after Gutenberg developed the press. And one thing that I've found that in the quotes that I've been looking, that I think probably tells more about Montenegrin people than anything else, is a quote from Nicholas I. In 1910, as a king, he declared, "Deep are the foundations of this renewed kingdom of ours. They descend to the old Zetan kings, Vojislav, Mihailo, Bohdan. Time had been destroying only what had been on this earth, but not what had been built into it, what had been planted in the hearts of the freedom-loving mountaineers to these mountains. And this no strong man can destroy. We started building on those foundations, and today, here is our old kingdom listening under the heavenly sun." The strength of the Montenegrins. That's what was so clearly being displayed there. And of course, through eons, it has gone through an enormous sort of change. And since then, of course, major change as well. Thank you very much for coming. Very important day for us all. Thanks for having us.
There's a small inscription I would like to read, first of all. His Grace Bishop of Montenegro, Petar II Petrović Njegos, author of this spell of poetry. We, the committee and the members of the Montenegrin Cultural and Art Society Njegos, Sydney, Australia, take great pleasure in presenting this historic book to the New South Wales Parliament Library.
Prisutnima se obratio i ambasador Srbije i Crne Gore, gospodin Milivoje Glišić.
Bishop Petar II Petrović Njegos was a spiritual, secular, and religious leader of Montenegro in a very delicate moment of his history, when there was a need to strengthen its long established statehood and to clearly define and defend its border.
In addition to presenting those books to the Parliamentary Library, the Society has very generously offered to present an instrument which I am told is pronounced a gusle. Yeah, I've got it right, I've been practising all day. Can I ask Mr. Lazovic and Mr. Juric to come forward and present that to the Speaker of the Parliament?
Well, that's,
And if we're well behaved,
I
they
can leave
promise
that
they'll
to
pay
young
for us.
people. Pass that to on behalf of the Montenegrin Cultural and Art Society, we present this gusle to yourself.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation of the gusle. But I think all of
We got a man who showed.
Could somebody please come forward and show us how it's played?
Yes, where is it?
Where is he?
Hej, sve su naše glave odabrane, što su do sada ove gore dale, momci divni istoka zvijezde, sve padali u krvave borbe, pali za čest, ime i slobodu, a naše su tirali suze, i vješti zvuci divni Njegosa.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lazovic, my parliamentary colleagues, of course, my good friend, Dr. Andrew Rasholgi, the Deputy Premier and Minister for Education and Training, my other good friend, Paul Lynch, the member for Liverpool, Mr. Ambassador, our Consul General, who's been such a welcome guest here so many times, Mr. Bacic, also the Deputy Consul General of Japan, Mr. Hiroshi Manabe, who was here earlier ago. A number of distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, of course, we've heard so much tonight about the wonderful history of Montenegro. Deputy Premier did the research, as I knew he would, so I had to be very careful not to cover the same ground. But I've got to say that the name itself, Montenegro, Black Mountain, sums up and conjures up in our minds wonderful images of a wild and vital country, a land of wonderful landscape, a place of great integrity and great wilderness. And I think it's wonderful that spirit, that enthusiasm, which no doubt has summed up so much in the works that have been presented here today, in the form of the poetic works, the mountain wreath, and also the light of microcosm, as well as the music we've just heard on the guzle, is indicative of the sort of spirit, I think, which Montenegrins have had in order to survive through the centuries, and which no doubt you've all brought with you here to Australia, and something of which we as a multicultural Australian community are all very, very proud. I think it's worthwhile recognising that the Republic of Montenegro was the smallest of the 6 republics of Yugoslavia, and the only one which remained federated with Serbia and the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia after 1991. But I want to just draw a little bit of attention, or just draw a little bit of attention to the interconnection between Montenegrins and Australians over a few decades. Because I've done a little bit of research myself, as you wouldn't be surprised, Andrew. And I was very pleased to know that actually the first emigration from Montenegro to Australia is recorded in 1884. That's right. So quite a long time ago. 1 year after the Maltese, 1884. We beat you by 1 year. 1 year after the Maltese. And between 1919 and 1941, about 15,000 people migrated to Australia, that was of Yugoslav descent, about 10% of those, about 1,500 being Montenegrins. And again, very similar to other migrant groups, they found employment where it was toughest. In the sugarcane fields in Queensland, up at Innisfail. The Maltese went to Mackay. They worked hard. I mean, these people who came here from overseas, of course, they came here to work. And the only work they could find was work with their hands. Very hard work which many others were not willing to do. And they went in there, and they quite often left their families behind, of course, as we know, and they went up to work in the sugarcane fields, and they did the tough mining work as well. And then when they were able to get a bit of money together, they got their families with them. In some cases, husbands were separated from their wives for 2, 3 more years, separated from their children. And after they were able to put some money together, were able to bring their children with them. And also, they worked in the timber industry, and I said in the mines of Broken Hill and on farms. This is a kind of hard work, the hard labouring work, which people had to undertake. Before the Second World War, the majority of the immigrants were sailors, peasants, and labourers. After the war, the majority of those Montenegrins had been taken as prisoners of war to Italy and Germany and being motivated by material needs and political interests, migrated to countries such as, of course, Australia, along with Canada and America, and such is the tale of many migrant communities from Europe. In the 1970s, as unemployment increased, Montenegrins continued to emigrate, and more recent settlers are better qualified, often having secondary or tertiary qualifications, and these migrants, of course, are now contributing to the rich tapestry of what is our Australian way of life. And here I just want to touch briefly upon a theme which is very close to my heart, because quite often when we talk about multiculturalism, it is so misunderstood in the Australian community as a whole. There are still, unfortunately, too many people who think of multiculturalism as something which is added on, as the contribution of a migrant community being a blimp or a warp or wart of some kind that sort of sits on top of the Australian way of life, the Australian culture. It's not. Migrants have contributed to the very basic fabric of what is today Australia. And just as in a rich tapestry, you have all sorts of strands of different colours, of different types of forms, whether they be cotton, wool, silk or whatever, and they make up the tapestry, then so is today Australian culture. That is what Australia is all about. And it's people like yourselves who have contributed to the Australian way of life. Today, you're making some very, very important and very historic contributions. You're not giving them to John Aquilina, you're not even giving them to the Parliament of New South Wales. You're giving them to the people of Australia. The mountain wreath is part of your history, part of your legacy. The great contribution, the great linguistic contribution, probably the greatest work in the Southern Slav language.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciation for your work and support in organising tonight's event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all this. I think we are looking forward for some more occasion.
Always look forward to helping you with events and coming to your events. Thank you very much.
Thank you.